GM and welcome to another video. This one has also been requested quite a lot recently, but I don't think this will be a Solana tutorial. Well, in a way it would be, but it's not a technical deep dive. It's more of a rant or possibly even a hot take. I don't know yet. Today we're going to talk about the SPL20, which is a new NFT standard on Solana. And I'm going to try to be as neutral as possible, but obviously I have my own view on the world and thus I'm biased, so all of what you're hearing here is my opinion. So please note that here I'm not spitting facts, I'm spitting my experience. So I'm gonna tell a few stories from the old days and we'll see where we go. How do we start this? Googling what are SPL20 inscriptions. So yeah, we're talking about inscriptions. SPL20.io. The first thing we note is that we don't get good search results on this. Actually, I know what I want to start with. I'm going to give you my view on this thing without actually having properly researched it. Here's what I imagine this to be. It's an NFT standard where 100% of the metadata is stored on chain in the state. Regular NFTs on Solana always have this metadata pointer that points somewhere external. Arweave, Shadow Drive, IPFS, you name it. So the actual metadata, think the image and attributes, that is hosted somewhere that is not Solana. On Solana, there's just the token that says, yes, you own this thing, and it's hosted somewhere else. So I can totally see the appeal of wanting to have everything on Solana. Because obviously if you were to host it somewhere on AWS and then AWS shuts down or that instance isn't funded anymore, then the external metadata is gone and the NFT is basically blank. So I can totally see why you want to have that. And the idea of that is not actually that new. In the previous bull run, you know, when Sol went from $100 to $200, I had 3 independent teams reach out to me asking me if I can help them build this. So there seems to be something to that idea that is really appealing. With one of the teams I went through to do a design and then almost implemented it with them, but then we didn't do it. I don't even remember why. The issue was always getting the wallets or the end user to see as a proper NFT, because yeah, then wallets need to support that. Because putting the data on chain is no problem. That's the easy part. The difficult part is the integration. Ask Tony from All Domains and he'll tell you. So anyway, yeah, so far for backstory, not a new idea, but so far it never took off until now. And so the question is, why now and why this standard? Let's see if we can find answers here. So it's built by Libreplex. Let's see if we find something on that. Libreplex.io. Oh, there we go. The mission: to create a future-proof, decentralized and fully open-source digital asset protocol for Solana. Guaranteed fees-free metadata for life. So I think that's where the name comes from, because Libreplex, that's definitely playing with Metaplex, at least in my eyes, and Libre standing for liberty, freedom, being free from the Metaplex standard that imposes fees on us and is somewhat centralized and whatnot. So wanting to be free from that, Libreplex is owned and maintained by a private company. Yeah, there they even say that. A private company, Metaplex. And even loss of control of assets. Yes, that's true. Libreplex aims to mitigate this by introducing a fully community-driven metadata protocol, but they're just talking about the protocol that is free of commercial interests, distributed development keys. I mean, their web presence seems good. That kind of almost sold me on them, but maybe that's exactly what they want. And, you know, being in this space for a while, I'm skeptical of a lot of things. I'm careful, as you should be as well. Because creating a website and saying some words is also easy. It seems to have quite some nice features as well. So, let's see. Apparently, you can buy such inscriptions and then put something in there. And there are 11 pages of things that have been inscribed, apparently. So I'd really like to find out how this actually works. So the first thing I notice here is that the front end is built with the Solana depth scaffold as I would build a front end. So if a guy builds a cheap front end, like I always do, I would do exactly that. I'm not judging, as I said, I would do it the same. I'm just saying this is a capital efficient deployment of a front end. Okay, but I'm still not getting smarter on how this stuff works. But I did see a GitHub somewhere though. Oh, there's the GitHub. So, Libreplex program library. So that's the LPL. Why do you then call it SPL20? Interestingly, I haven't read SPL20 at all yet. I think that's just a marketing name. Open license protocol to the Solana SPL token and NFT community. Documentation. Yeah. Librax provides metadata for token 2022 mints. So that's cool. So we do use token 2022. So if that's the case, calling it SPL20, I mean, best case is an unfortunate choice. Worst case is straight off fraud, because they're not part of the SPL, the Solana programming library. They build on top of it, yes, but that doesn't make it SPL. Anyway, so apparently we create token 2022 mints and then add metadata with this standard. Okay, cool. So we can have all the functionality that token 2022 has, which is great. Starting to like this. And here's the metadata structure. We have a mint, an update authority. So far so easy. If we have a token 2022, we want to have the mint, the update authority, who can change that metadata. The creator is apparently also written into the metadata, and that is not mutable. Don't ask me why we need to write that. If it's mutable, a boolean, okay, yeah, that also makes sense. A collection, pub key, like the Librax standard does. And then the classic name, symbol. Asset and extension is then what's new. So asset is probably what would otherwise be the external URL. Create a machine is a work in progress. So, I mean, the docs, let's be honest, are incomplete at best. I mean, okay, I can have a quick start. Yeah, we could have a look at this, and it just uses Anchor. It literally just probably takes it from the IDL. Let's check this GitHub some more. I didn't find any description on how it works, so apparently I need to look at that myself. Great that it's an open standard. Is it so open if you don't provide like documentation on the standard itself? Programs. I mean, it's cool stuff. You have the metadata somewhere on state, and then you have a program that does the rendering. So I would assume that this just does simulations, and the simulation result is the rendered NFT or something like that. But there's no docs on that, so I would actually need to freaking read the red, green, blue. So apparently it stores pixel values in a pixel map, which is fine. I would do that similarly. Some NFTs are just, you know, those pixel maps, and then having a program that renders that. It literally returns the buffer. Yeah. And then need to display as an image. Setting pixels from this image. Oh, it's an actual image, and that is BMP. So it actually returns a pixel map, and that buffer then represents this BMP file. Okay, got it, because we write. And it's okay that we use a lot of compute on this stuff, because we don't actually execute that as a transaction, we simulate that. But again, this is all just my assumption, because the documentation doesn't tell me what it actually does. Libreplex NFT. This program likes to guarantee that an SPL mint is an NFT. Metadata. That's probably where the interesting part is. So that's what they call asset, as I imagined, is the URL. Wait, how is this better if I have a URL to a string here? Literally the same as the Librax standard. Okay, so because the external metadata usually links to a JSON file with attributes and whatever, and that then contains the link to the image, and here we save the link to the image directly, and we can have a an option. So we say for this option, save the entire metadata file, like the external metadata file, and just save the URL to the external image link, and therefore can additionally have a description, because that's also just in the external metadata in the Librax standard. But here we can also have that on chain. Or we just specify the JSON, which then contains the image and the description and the attributes. And so that's what we're used to from Librax. None is if we don't have anything, obviously. And then the chain renderer, there we go, that's where it gets interesting. That's where we would put a pixel map in the state with a program that we saw before. And then Inscription, that's probably the one that everybody gets hyped about. That's the fully on-chain image. So this is a pixel map and this is a fully on-chain image. Store the actual on-chain data. Inscription stores the config of the inscription. Inscription ID, data type, description. And then the chunks tells you the number of inscription accounts. Can hold up to 10 megabytes. Oh, if you want to store bigger files, bigger than 10 megabytes, then you can do it in chunks. Is that it? Points to an inscription data struct with a PDA owned by the inscription program with seed base account index, where index runs from 1 to n. Okay, I mean, if we don't have docs, we need to read source code. That's okay. What are we interested in? Create metadata. Payer, the metadata with seed metadata and mint. Okay, does that make sense? The mint must be a token 2022 program owned by, but you could do more checks than that, because this way it could still be a token account, but you know, then that's your problem if you fuck that up. On the other hand, no, the program should actually check that properly. Maybe there's an attack that I can do. Let me think. I'll think about it some other time. Cool. And then inscription. Name, symbol, update authority, extensions. Why do you put the update authority in input? Whatever. Extensions, description, data type, and validation hash. Takes again the signer, the metadata account, which is again metadata and mint. Similar to what Librax does, just that Librax stupidly also takes the program ID in there. So I like that better actually. And then we have the inscription, inscription v2, inscription data, inscription summary. What does that handler do? It creates a CPI into the inscriptions program. It's a program of Libreplex instructions. So that's checked, perfect. Well, let's look at that then. Looks pretty much similar. There we also just write data into this inscription account. So those accounts are again payer, signer, root, checked in logic. Is it? I don't like how many unchecked accounts there are. But okay, since I don't fully understand their implementation, I'm not gonna judge them. It's hard for me to tell if that's like a cheap production or if that's like a sophisticated, because it looks similar. I don't know. I'm not that pro of a dev that I can. It's like, I'm like, some things look a bit sketchy. Or not sketchy, or like not with the highest security considerations in mind. And that's usually what I'm looking for. Because my brain goes, well, how can I hack this? Because here's the thing. If we store all of those things on chain, then we need a lot of rent, so there's a lot of sol captured in those, and that is concerning. So for the inscription data, we have inscription data, and then the root key. For the summary, we have inscription summary, and that's it. How can this be enough for a seed? Is there only one inscription summary for the entire standard? That seems like a bottleneck that I don't want to have. Especially if you init it if needed, then it's also writable. There's a mutable account with a inscription summary. This is not good for an open standard. This is not a good design choice. Then the inscription with the seeds inscription and again the root key. And the inscription 2 has inscription v3. 1 and 2 have the same size. And then inscription v3 is the inscription v2. What? I mean, this is also just confusing. What the hell? Why is the seed v3 and you call it v2 and this? What kind of a mess is that? So we got many things to look at. Let's start with the program. So we have the inscriptions program. Let's check that. It's a program. It's executable. It has no security TXT. This is helpful if security firms like auditors find bugs in your program, who to contact. So we wouldn't know who to contact in this case. So, and then we have upgrade authority. So it is upgradable and we have an upgrade authority. And that has me skeptical again. We have an update authority that starts with an L. What have we learned in our encodings video? That if you create a random address, that it doesn't usually start with L. So this might be a chosen address. I mean, average case, they have chosen it because Libreplex starts with L and they found an address on their ledger that started with L. That's still plausible. Best case, it's a multisig and just happens to be starting with an L because, I mean, the possibility exists, it's just unlikely. And worst case, it's a vanity address that's literally a key pair that they grinded. So let's do something. Let's check something real quick. Public key is on curve. Let's check that. That's on curve, which means in my monkey mind, and I'm not 100% on this, but I'm like 85% on this, a multisig wallet is not on curve because a multisig wallet is a PDA. We gotta do a video on multisigs. That's an important topic. Maybe I'll do that. I'll put it on the list. But this is on curve, which means there is a private key for it, which means best case, it's on a hardware wallet. Well, let's just compare it. And the token program is not upgradable anymore. This one is upgradable. Also doesn't have a security TXT, but you know the people from Solana Labs, hopefully. This is the update authority. See, that update authority looks like an address that is random. And if we check that one, oh, that's also on curve. All right, maybe it is the way to go. I mean, Token 2022 also does it that way. So maybe I don't understand multisigs. Or maybe it really is not a multisig. Maybe even Token 2022 doesn't use a multisig. Maybe that's just John's wallet. Let's check what else is in that wallet. 5 Sol. No tokens. Okay, at least something. So that looks okay. Anyway, my point is, I don't know who owns that wallet. I just don't. So I can't be sure who's the update authority. With Token 2022, at least I can ask John and be like, hey, quick question. I mean, he's probably asleep at that point, but I can ask him. Whereas here, I don't even know who to ask. I mean, I could try via Twitter, but then again, they can tell me anything. And I trust John, I don't trust any other. So I have double standards is what I'm saying. I do definitely have double standards and I don't trust this. Let's check the other programs, the metadata one, for instance, which will probably be the same thing. That this is a vanity address, that's perfectly fine. But this, oh, that's the same one, same update authority. Seems like all of the programs were deployed with this update authority, which is fine. It even makes sense. But the question is still, who holds the key to this? Who owns this? Because here is the thing, and that's the main reason why I'm so skeptical about this actually. It's great that the standard is open source and we can look at that, but it's not really, as they claim here, in shared control if it's controlled by this one wallet, because that guy who can do the update can theoretically deploy a new program that can close all of the accounts, thereby completely ruining the promise of putting it all on chain, which is it's persisted there. Because on Arweaves, I have the guarantee that my data will stay there unless Arweave goes down. So my risk is Arweave goes down. With those inscriptions, it's not that unless Solana goes down, no, it's unless those programs go down, which can happen when the update authority decides to do so. The update authority can deploy a different program and take out all of the SOL. And this is probably a lot of SOL. Let's check. That's the metadata program. I've got a bunch of accounts in the metadata. That's the metadata accounts. They seem quite small, but the inscriptions, those could be bigger. Let's check the inscriptions program. That takes a while, which is, I think, a good sign or a very bad sign. I'm assuming there are a lot of inscriptions. Cannot create string longer than... Oh no. You don't need to give me the data. I'm just interested in the account addresses. So most of them are also quite small. But there are a lot of accounts. There are a lot of accounts. You sum that up, that's also some amount of money. Let's sum that up real quick, just to get a rough idea. And the total of the inscriptions of what Helios returns to me is 10,000 Sol. I mean, with current Sol prices, that's $620,000, which is not nothing, right? I mean, it's not a million yet, but it's also not an amount that you can ignore. Like if there was a hack of 620K, they would write about it somewhere. I mean, isn't too bad, right? Happens all the time. I mean, there are rug pulls that take more than that, but you know, it's still a concerning amount, and that's just the inscriptions that are there right now. And you could potentially get way more if you first steal them, then sell them, and then remove the rent. So yeah. And what really worries me is that I don't see any auditing reports somewhere. I don't know if this has been audited. I don't think so. Like also judging by the implementation, I'm not a pro, but looking at this, I see some things, that could be improved. And especially that's just horrible design that makes it not composable essentially. If you have one writable account that you always need to parse in, that's a massive bottleneck. And if all of Solana NFTs would suddenly use that standard, then we get a huge issue with creating new inscriptions because, well, at least there's a bottleneck on creating inscriptions. But even the Librax standards is more efficient than that in terms of parallelizability. You know what I'm saying. Or not. It doesn't matter. I don't like that. And I also don't like that I don't know if it's audited. I want this to be audited if that's the standard. Let's go to Tensor. Solana's leading NFT marketplace. Because Tensor promotes Solana Inscriptions. Trade Solana Inscriptions. Here's the thing. The fact that Tensor supports inscriptions gives it some credibility. However, Tensor would be stupid if they wouldn't, since they are a business and this is where the hype currently is. So they would lose out on money if they weren't supporting it. Plus, they are just shippers. They don't sleep. They build stuff. So, I mean, it made sense that they pushed this. Okay. Because that's where the hype is. And seeing this just lets me think that, that's where the hype is. Because apparently those inscriptions have numbers. I mean, we didn't get to that part, but it could be related with those. That's why there's just one of these inscription summary accounts. They are numbered. Pretty much because, again, they want to arbitrarily pretend to be something they're not, like BTC inscriptions. They're just not. They're different. They're just writing some data on Solana state. There is no reason why it needs to be this specific program or this specific inscription program. I can deploy my own of those programs, no worries, since it's open source, and then I could start with zero again. But that doesn't buy into the hype, because then it's not the same program. So they create something arbitrarily. Arbitrary scarcity or arbitrary being rewarded for being early kind of a thing. And that's kind of a pet peeve of mine. I don't like it. I mean, yes, there's something to be said about being the first NFT collection and then being the first collection that uses those inscriptions. Okay, fine. If you're into that, and apparently people are into that because that stuff sells for ridiculous... Actually, does it sell? Immutable only. But see, immutability in that sense doesn't mean anything, because if the program is updatable, the program can still rug you. If somebody has the program authority, they can still delete that account. So it's about as reliable as Shadow Drive. With a trust me, bro, we don't update this program. Trust me, bro. I don't like trust. especially not if I don't know the people behind this. And I didn't make an effort to get to know the people behind this, admittedly. I have no idea who's behind this. I just don't like it. I mean, it's the same, like, everything is pumping right now. We are super green in Solana NFTs, and I'm happy with that. Like, I mean, I love my monkey, and they've been one of the first, so there is something to this, being the first, and also being on top. But yeah, that's me being biased, and I own one of these, so I'm happy to see that go up. Except, am I really? Because now I kind of want to sell, but I'm never going to sell my lad, unless it's really life-changing. So inscriptions, there seem to be quite a few. Lampert SPL20. I still hate that name. And it seems like the hype is slowly over for most of them. They actually do sell, let's see. Yeah, they actually do sell for ridiculous prices. 300 Sol a few. So there is a hype around this stuff. And I'm not saying that that is bad. As most of the things in this space, it's gambling. And I'm okay with people gambling away their money. That's fine. I also gambled away quite a bit of my money into NFTs. But that's fine. I was aware what I'm doing. I just, see, for me, there's just a risk that this standard is just also a scam. And I'm not sure that it is. I would say, I don't know, maybe 10%. But 10% is too likely for me to get involved in this. And to feel more confident, I would really like to know who owns this wallet and if there are any plans to actually get this stuff audited as well. Because if you hold that much value, which, according to Tensor, they do, quite a bit of value being transacted in these random subscriptions that don't really make any sense why you would number them except for creating hype. But I don't judge. I do judge. I definitely judge. Yeah, I just don't want to get involved personally into this. This seems all like speculation coins, meme coins, but I'm not very involved in this space. Maybe there are legit collections and whatnot, but I really got into this because there's a proposal on MonkeyDAO to move the SMBs to that standard, and I'm like, ho, please no. But I like to see monkeys pump. I like to see monkeys, and I mean, there is something to be said about those nice little monkeys to be on chain, like in the state, is just a bit useless. Let's be honest. It's just wasting state of Solana. And eventually that's going to get compressed anyway, unless you put more and more rent in. If you hear what Tolly suggests for the future of bonds. So like the future rent. Yeah, so that's going to be interesting. I like my monkeys. I personally am just not a big fan of inscriptions, even though that seems very promising. But then again, so do most products that then rug you. They look promising and don't deliver. And I'm not saying that they don't deliver. Maybe this really will become the standard for NFT on Solana state. There certainly is a demand for that. As I said, I had people reach out to me for implementing this. So people want this, but that was during bull market when everybody is gambling. I guess people just want to make money. But yeah, this whole artificial scarcity and artificial numbering, I don't like it. If you really want an open standard, then make it plain playing field. Everybody can deploy that standard, which they can. But then, I mean, we could do that. We could do that as an exercise and then tell Tensor, hey, we've got other Solana inscriptions. Can you also add them? And then they're going to be like, that's going to just confuse the users because the inscriptions are not numbered the same anymore. Yeah. So again, we have the problem of distribution then, getting people to use my program, because why would they? Why would anybody? It's always the one that is first to take market share. That's going to be the one that is the de facto Solana inscription program now. But there is no reason why this and this needs to be the Solana inscription programs. Why? Because they were the first and the best to market. Good for them. Does that mean I want to get involved in that? No, it does not. I mean, you could make them immutable. If the program was immutable, I would change my mind. Maybe. Because, I mean, then we still have the problem that the program could be exploitable. But at least I would trust the owners more. So here in this video, I just wanted to give you an idea, like my thoughts on this standard. They don't officially call it SPL20 actually. I don't know where that comes from, but it somehow evolved. And I hate that name. It's not SPL, goddammit. It's not Solana Programming Library. It's the LPL, Libreplex Program Library. Call it LPL20 if you want, but then nobody knows what that should be. Ugh. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of imposter. And I'm not confident with them. Like, I don't, mainly also because I don't see the point of putting it all on chain. I mean, kinda. I kinda like the idea of having the image also stored on Solana natively, but then at least compress it. At least do state compression and put it in the ledger and not in the state. In the ledger, it's so much cheaper. I can totally see the appeal of this. Totally. And I would do it differently. By now, since we have compression, I would do it differently because you don't want to pay, I don't know how much you pay. I don't know can we figure that out? Are there any like big images? But the URL also goes to NFT storage. So what's the point of this? So that's also NFT storage. So again, inscriptions are just hype, just that you get that number. Might as well do regular NFTs or CNFTs. Or just token 2022 with metadata. That's what I'm excited about actually. I want native token 2022 that hold the metadata in the mint account, and I want support for that from Tensor and all marketplaces and all wallets, but not some random inscriptions. Come on. Let's put something in there because hype, but the metadata also links to NFT storage. Again, my argument here is that's just hype. That's just hype and trying to make money, and a lot of people probably losing money on it. So I don't want to support it, but I want to make a video about it in any case, just to maybe help you do your own research, right? Those are the things that I'm looking at if I do my own research on something. What programs are there? Who are the program authorities? Are they multi-sig? Are those programs audited? That's an important one. Are they open source? Also an interesting question, which in this case they are. Wait, let me check the license actually. License is a MIT license. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, what else do I have to say on this? I hope that this video was somewhat helpful for you still. I mean, we didn't go over how to create those inscriptions. If you really want me to do that, let me know in the comments. But personally, I don't think I want to do it. I don't think I'm that interested in that standard unless it really takes off and there's really good developments being made in terms of being audited and being set immutable, or at least move to a multi-sig wallet where I know who the parties are who are able to update that. I mean, yes, you don't want to make it immutable in the very beginning because you still want to do bug fixes and stuff, so I can understand that. But I want there to be an effort to make it immutable. And I don't know if there is such an effort. Just at this point, I'm calling this shared control BS. It's just not true that no single entity can make fundamental changes. This is more of a trust me bro kind of operation, and I don't like trust me bro operations. We are not a team, but a collective of teams. Admittedly, I do need to do more research on this. Like, I've just did a high level something and made a bunch of assumptions. Maybe it's actually true that there is a team of independent players where they actually share this authority in a proper multi-sig kind of a way. It just doesn't look like that to me. So yeah, I would need to do more research and actually contact the people behind this, talk with them about it. Then I might change my mind on this. But for now, I'm like, it's a nice try at best and a scam at worst. I don't actually think that they're gonna scam it. I personally don't want to get involved in this. I wouldn't create my collection on this. Besides, by now it's too late anyway, because all of the low numbers are taken anyway. We're now at inscription 462,000, and I'm gonna leave you with, do your own research and be safe out there. And I'm aware that this could, upset people who are like really into that. And I want to acknowledge that, yeah, I mean, good for you. If you trust in that, go ahead, gamble all your money on it. I'm fine with it. I'm just saying I'm not going to gamble my money on that, and I'm not going to make my NFT collection use that standard. At least not in the current state. In the future, Maybe. We didn't go into the technical aspects too much. We looked a bit at the source code, which is just part of doing my research. There's also no good documentation on it, right? If you really want this to be the standard, then write better documentation on it, such that people actually know what the standard is. Because I still don't know what the actual standard is. I need to always look into source code. And that, again, seems to me like a quick make money thing, and then we drop this standard again because everything comes in hype cycles. And so does this. If Libreplex is still around in 3 years and being developed on, then we're talking. Then I'm willing to admit that I was wrong and it's a good project. Hey, maybe they at some point include state compression, which would be a nice way forward. Like I can imagine that they would do that. I mean, because they support the old way, like with external URIs, they support inscriptions, like writing it to the state. Why not write it to the ledger with a NoOp program and use indexes to load that data? Why not? Feature request. There you go. And maybe they do that. And maybe that's gonna become the new standard. Again, I don't think that it will. I think the idea is quite nice. I think the hype is existent. There is hype around this. That's also why I was persuaded to make a video about it. People wanted me to, but I just couldn't just make a technical deep dive on that without addressing my concerns. So yeah, now that I addressed my concerns, if you still want that technical deep dive, let me know in the comments and I might think about it. First, we do some Token 2022 stuff though. So until next video, check out those, subscribe and like. And do your own goddamn research. Or just gamble all your money away on Libreplex NFTs. That's fine with me.